Alright gang, the PowerPoint for HTML is really very, very long because HTML is a very, very large topic. However, we don't need to know everything in it in order to, demonstrate web pages and write JavaScript that will control them. So there'll be just a few more things in this that we hit, and then as we go on we may come back to some tags that we skipped in the first place. I believe we stopped off around slide number 21, 22. So we saw the paragraph tags. We didn't really talk about div, I do not think. We saw span. Span is for affecting a specific chunk of text, whereas div allows you to block off an entire chunk of your HTML, an entire section of it, whatever menus or images or tables you've embedded in it. But let's go ahead and play with div a little bit. Launch TextPad again. I'm going to create a very simple page. Oh, really? Oh, if I save it as an HTML, it'll embiggen itself, I hope. Page2.html, because I called my last one page 1. You're still not large. Why? I changed this. Alright. So HTML, body. Let's put a header. Put a few paragraphs. And then let's close our body and our HTML tags. And there's our web page. So what we're going to do is, and we did this last time, we're going to use the span tag to change the appearance of one of these lines of text. So to make the paragraph easier to read, well, for one thing, I'm going to expand my text editor. I'm going to treat the paragraph tag and nest it like that so that I make it just a little, give myself a little bit more room to play. I'm going to put a span here and a backslash span there. And what are we going to do with this span? Well, I don't know. Let's think of some things that we can do with the style for the text. We already played with setting colors for it. You can specify the font. So here, style, inside, this is the tag. We're going to add an attribute to it. And by the way, just to show you something, type something that's not a real attribute. There's no such thing as a goofy attribute, right? When I view it, it's not treated as an error. It is simply ignored. That is actually a good thing because it means that future versions of HTML can add attributes without crashing, older browsers that are trying to view them. So the oldest web pages did not support the style attribute, But that's okay. Those web pages could still be viewed with primitive web browsers. You know, in the earliest web browsers, earliest browsers at all, were text-based. You know, they didn't even display images and things like that. So these things are designed to ignore things that they don't understand, which is good in most cases, but it's also very frustrating if you type something and you don't see it working. Like if I misspelled style, it's not going to give me an error. I'm just not going to see the effects of it. Okay, so the style. Let's make the color. You know, last time we demonstrated red. Why not red again? Notice that in the attributes, in the style attribute, we separate things. We use the equal sign before the quote, but inside it, to match up values and pairs, we use colons. And then we use semicolons to tack on multiple styles. So font dash size colon 200% semicolon. That's going to make this paragraph larger than that one. There we go. These style tags can be placed pretty much anywhere. That's an exaggeration. But, for example, we don't have to create a span tag that only affects some of this text. We could embed style information in the paragraph tag, and it would include everything that was inside it. So let's put another bit of style on this one. Style is equal to color blue. Let's think of something else to add to it. I should have had some demonstrations already set up. Alrighty, let's give this a try. So not only do we want the text to be blue, we want to specify what kind of text we have. Let's do monospace. Monospace is like courier, it's like typewriter. So we're going to do font-family colon monospace. Except I believe it's lowercase m. And then semicolon, not strictly necessary to put a trailing semicolon at the end of the list, but if you come back, it gives you a nice place to add it on. End quote, end angle, this is more text, there, like that. So we've assigned a different font to this. Looks like a typewriter font. It's kind of small compared to our header and that. Now you can specify font sizes explicitly rather than with percentages. You could say that I want a font to be 14 points or I want it to be 20 points or something like that. Let's see if we can do that. So here before font family is equal to monospace, I'm going to, not equal, colon, I'm going to do font size colon 40 pt semicolon. I should make it larger. Yeah, now we got some huge text. So what if we want to control an entire section's worth of appearance? We want to do something that's going to work for both of these paragraphs. We're going to use not a span tag, but a div tag, standing for division. So underneath the header, I could even put it in the header, but anyways, underneath the header, div, division, and I'm going to tab everything over like that, and then I'm going to put \div. And just to prove that we have something working here, we're going to give it a style. Border style equals border colon, and the syntax for this is kind of interesting. 1 pixel solid black. So we've just added that tag with this attribute, with this style attribute, and we close it there. Let's save it and run it. And there we get our border around it. That's showing that particular division. If we set a style, you know, that has a font size or a font color or something, it only takes place for stuff that's within that division. So you can break your pages up into sections, you know, and have, you know, different things apply to different parts. Once we get into CSS, cascading style sheets, we can say, okay, I want some lines of text to have this specific font. I want other lines of text to have a different font, and you set those up in the header of the HTML, and then you only have to tag these with a single little name in order to do that. So you can make the style as complex as you wanted to, but then you only reference it with a single word down in here. We'll get to that when we do a little bit of CSS. So that's span versus div. Div gives you an entire block, like that, while span modifies a portion of that block. You know, if we put some text outside of the span, span, like this, hello, then that's not going to be part of the red text, right? Get rid of that. I am recording, am I not? Yay. Alrighty. So HTML should only be about structure, not appearance. In 1995, you know, 22 years ago, yeah, people put all sorts of colors and, you know, things embedded directly in their HTML. Browsers tolerate invalid HTML and parse the errors, but you should not. And then you're saying, okay, well, why have you been changing the colors and stuff like that in your code? Because we haven't learned CSS yet. CSS prettifies your page and you know, applies all the colors and the backgrounds and formatting, whereas the text itself is laid out in the HTML. So that's what they mean it should be about structure, not appearance. You design the structure of your page, and then you go in and you add tags to CSS and put some attributes that will support those tags. So it says that HTML documents must start with a document type definition that tells the web browsers what type is the served code, which looks like this. So every web page you open will have a doc type like that. Now I'm skipping that because the browsers will go ahead and pop it open and display it with you know, without setting. We have a link here for a list of possible doc types. I'm not going to go on and talk about what a doc type is. Just consider it different flavors of HTML. HTML4, HTML5, strict HTML, transitional, frameset, XHTML. Yeah. So there are a lot of different doc types, but pretty much everything you see is going to be HTML4 or HTML5. HTML5 added a whole bunch of things to make web applications more possible, more graphical. Let's go see what doc type Amazon is using. Amazon.com. Just right click anywhere on it. Well, anywhere other than that. Why can I not view the source? I didn't want to expect it. Yeah, F12 will do it. Alrighty, so anyways, I'm going to scroll up here. Alright, it didn't give me the
come on. Ungray yourself. Okay, forget it. That's all it's saying. Okay. So much for a fancy doc type. One thing to note, we haven't talked about it, but
Comments. You can put comments in your HTML. And you do that with angle brace, exclamation mark, dash dash.
so we can go back to our code and put a comment in it. And of course, just like any other comment, you don't see that when you actually run it. Right? That's not going to show up in it. Now, back in the days when people had to jump through hoops to get things to show up the same on both Firefox and IE, you know, because IE was such a different beast than the other ones, eventually people would do all sorts of tricks of embedding certain things inside comments in order to get them to work. I don't know if that's still a current practice. I hope that they're all compliant with each other now pretty much. XHTML is more strict than HTML. All the tags and attribute names must be in lowercase. All tags must be closed, while HTML allows okay, well anyways, we're going to be trying to follow good programming practice, so we will try to close all of our tags. I may have skipped closing the image tag, I don't recall. XHTML allows only one root element, whereas HTML allows more than one. Honestly, I'd never thought about that. What if we go in and we add a second HTML block to our code? Is it going to allow us to do that at all? Well, I mean, it'll allow us to. We can do anything we want to, but I'm curious as to whether this is going to work. I'm not going to put much effort into it. Hello? Like that. Okay. Well, what do you know? So if this was strict XHTML, we would not be able to do that. I can't say that I've ever... You ever do anything where you needed to have more than than one HTML block in a page? I can't think of any reason to do that. Many element attributes are deprecated in XHTML. Most are moved to CSS. Attribute minimization is forbidden. What does that mean? Leaving out portions of attributes. Web browsers load XHTML faster than HTML, and valid code faster than invalid.
So the header section. We didn't even put a header section, but you can put some things in it. The one that we care the most about are scripts, right? This is a scripting class, but you can also put your styles up in the header section. So we can go and add a header to ours. I'm going to get rid of this last HTML section. That's pointless.
So up here, head, title equals my web page. No, that's not right. Title, my web page, \title. I was treating it like title was an attribute, whereas it's a tag. We're going to come back and we're going to put more things in the header.
But for now, that's enough. And we know what the title does, but really, you know, we have enough space there to see it. We can also put comments in it. The title should be placed between the head and the /head tags. Well, that makes sense. Meta tags can describe the content.
People used to use the meta tag to put all sorts of information, hoping that the search engines like Google would then find it for you, or to rank it highly based on your meta tags. Meta, name is equal to author, content is equal to Chris Brewer. You know, we don't much care about that. That is, of course, stuff that's not displayed. The script element is used to embed scripts into an HTML document. Then the scripts are executed when the browser loads the page. Scripts can live, funny term, in the head or in the body sections. There are different kinds of scripting. JavaScript is the one that we're going to use. So here's our example of a script. Let's see if we can get this going. It's a little bit of typing, but it's all right. Can you close all these? Thank you. Okay. So underneath my title, script type is equal to text slash, not backslash, this is the one under the question mark, JavaScript. Underneath that, we know we're going to need a closing tag, so I'm going to go ahead and type it there. But then our script is going to go between those two tags. And so we're going to write a function. We don't use a def keyword, we use the function keyword. Function say hello, parentheses in parentheses. We don't use colons. This language looks a lot more like C and Java, although it's not based on Java. The reason, what is the connection between Java and JavaScript? Almost none. It's just that Java was a popular thing in the 90s, and so when Netscape invented JavaScript, they just stole the name. They said, hey, if we call it JavaScript, it sounds cool. That's really the only connection between the two, other than the fact that they're both, you know, distant, descendants, children of the C programming language, so they share a lot of functionality. Not functionality. They share a lot of syntax similarities, such as, you know, using curly braces. Alrighty, so when we trigger the say hello function, we're going to do this. Document write. What are we going to write to the screen? It's going to be a paragraph tag. Hello. I'm going to need to drag this out a little bit more. Hello, exclamation mark, backslash P, or arrow brace, you know. Close my tag there. Once I've closed my tag, close parentheses, semicolon. And these are curly braces, in case you can't tell, not parentheses. So right now it doesn't do anything. I don't see my hello. That's because the script is not being called. We've just defined it. Just like in Python, you write a function, but it doesn't do anything until something invokes it. So down here in the body, we can call that script. So we're going to use a script tag, and then inside the script tag, we're going to embed a call to our script up here. Where do we want it to say hello? Do we want to say it? Let's do it right underneath the header. So again, script type is equal to text slash JavaScript, end quote, end curly brace. And what does our script want us to do? It's going to call say hello, parentheses in parentheses, semicolon, backslash script. So when it runs, as the web page is loaded into the browser is going to find this script or this invocation of a script, and it's going to run up here and actually run that. So I predict what we're going to see is we're going to see the header, then we're going to see hello, and then we'll see our stuff within that division block. Let's see if that's the case. There we go. So yeah, we could insert content into our web page via scripts. Something much more interesting than just the word hello. It could build the entire web page, actually. We could put all of this stuff inside that document.write here, as long as we accommodated for the fact that, make sure that these end quotes don't mess up this end quote. I don't want to mess with that. But just imagine if your body had only one tag, which was a call to a script, and then the script programmatically generated your web page. You could have loops and everything, It could call other functions. It could be a lot of complex code. Now usually people don't make, I won't say that, but anyways, everybody get the hello to appear. All right, let me come look. Here's an example of using CSS. What we are going to do is we're going to use CSS to say, hey, I want all paragraphs to have this type. So let's go ahead and add this. We're going to need to add a style tag above or below our script block. Maybe we'll make it different than their example specifically. Colors are awfully easy to see the difference, right? Line heights and stuff like that, not so much. So below my close script tag, I'm going to do style. And honestly, it would work just as well if I left off this type stuff, but style type equals quote text / CSS end quote angle brace, and for every p tag we want to set the color equal to purple and the font size equal to 24 points. Notice we didn't put that in quotes. And then we're going to close that style tag. Now we pretty much put, decoration, style information on all these paragraph tags. This hello or hi there or whatever we put there does not have one. I want to add one more completely undecorated paragraph tag just to make sure that this one works, because that's what this is saying. It's saying that every time you find a paragraph tag, I want you to apply this style to it. And we could do the same thing for the header. If you like changing the color of the header, we'll define a new style for it. So anyways, P, welcome to my nightmare. It will be interesting to see how this style gets applied to the other paragraphs that we've created. Alright, so welcome to my nightmare. It was affected. Hello, it was affected. We set the size and the color of both of these things, so we can't say whether they were affected or not. Why don't we go and change the size but not the color of one of these things? Let's go edit one of these paragraph blocks. So down here, the one that says color red, I'm going to delete that color red part. So find the paragraph tag. Nope, nope, that's a span tag. Oh, but it isn't a paragraph. I don't want to do it there. Do it for the blue one. Color colon blue, semicolon. Delete all that. And the reason why is I want to see if that text winds up being purple rather than blue. I want to see if this style stuff adds on to what we put here or not. And the answer is that it does. Since we didn't reset that color to something else, it used the style that we said please apply to all paragraph tags. Let's change the appearance of our header. We're going to go back up to style and we're going to say, okay, all header ones, I don't know what we want to do with it. Background colon yellow, semicolon, closing brace. Going to go for the yellow highlighter look again. There we go. That's what our header looks like. So maybe you see that you can build a web page without putting all of this color information, specifically, putting it all down here. Instead, if we were careful, we could remove all of that stuff down here and put it up here. Now, what if you run into a case where you want one paragraph to have one style and another paragraph to have another style? Because this is going to be blanketly applied to all paragraphs. Well, we will get to that. This much work for everybody? We got our styles to work? Okay. Comments? Yeah. The body describes a viewable portion of the website. We know that. Text formatting. B/B for bold. I and /I for italicized. U and /U for underlined. Sup, A sup for superscript. Sub for subscript. Strong is bold. Emphasized is both italicized and bolded. This is a really useful one. /PRE. You use /PRE basically when you're cutting and pasting code and putting it into it. I'll show you what I mean. Let's go down to the bottom and add one more P tag. And I know it's not in the same place as the other ones are, but you'll see why I'm doing it there. Put a P tag there and then type some code. Some Python code. I is equal to input. Hello. This code is not going to do anything. Print I to the power of 3. Print goodbye. Right, good old Python code. This could be anything we wanted to. And then /P. Now what are our rules about HTML? It ignores all line feeds. It ignores things that have more than one space. So I'm going to put something with more than one space in here. Like goodbye, exclamation mark, like that. Okay. Why do you care about this? Because I used to make my assignments and stuff like this in HTML. And the problem is that when you viewed the sample code that I would embed in the document, or if I'm putting this in your feedback and I want to put some sample code, there it is. Yay. Not really what I wanted, right? And by the way, that's what I see when y'all type in several lines of code. It gets all put into one line of code when I grade it. But anyways, I mean if you're doing it on an exam. So do this. Underneath that P tag, do /PRE, pre-formatted. And above the closing pre tag, close the PRE tag. So you see what I just did? I added that, and I added that. I'm going to give it a shot. Save my document, run it, and there I get my code, right? pre-formatted means just, hey, take exactly what I've got. Don't do anything else to it. Do you really use that very often? Not unless you're typing in source code examples, or something that you don't want to be treated like it's HTML at all. You don't want multiple spaces treated like a single space. You don't want the carriage returns ignored. The A tag, we talked about that. href lets you link to another web page. You probably have another web page in your same directory. Remember the one that we did on Thursday? Let's go ahead and write something that'll call it. I'm going to do it up at the top because things are always easy to find if they're up at the top. So even above the header tag, href is equal to, and inside the quotes, I'm going to fill in the close tag there. I'm going to put the link to the website there and the description there. Now in here we don't have to put the name of our text file. If you can't find your old HTML file, that's okay. Mine was called page 1 and it was right in the same directory, so I'm just going to fill in page1.html. But I also need to put some descriptive text here. Older page, like that. Sticking a carriage return there just to make things a little bit more visible. If you don't remember, can't find your web page, just come out here, load up Google or something, and copy that URL right there. https://Google. That'd work just as well. Yeah, I could have put that there. So now when I run it, I see something that says older page. And if I click it, it goes to the page that I built last time. There are other kinds of anchor tags besides href, hypertext reference. But href is by far the one that you'll see over and over and over, because every time you need a link, you're going to do an href. Whoops.
What do you do to insert comments?
Comments in the HTML are done with arrow, less than, exclamation mark, dash, dash. Like, I thought we added one, like that. That's a comment.
Okay.
If you want to comment out a whole bunch of code, you can do that just by putting an open comment, there, and then, going down here and putting a closed comment. Now, is that a really good idea for what I'm doing here? No. So I'm going to undo that. Things that you can add to your hyperlinks. You can give it an attribute, blank. It opens the link in a new window. That's a pretty bizarre syntax in order to get it to go to the new one. But we have a link. Let's make it open in a new window. Let's see if we can do that. So I'm going to go to my href right here. And I'm going to say a target equals quote underscore blank end quote space. Now normally you'd probably put the href tag first, but it doesn't matter whether you put target first or href first. These are all just attributes of the anchor tag, and the order in which the attributes are defined does not matter. So far this is the only one where we've had more than one attribute. We had style attributes, but that was the only attribute per tag. This is the first time we've seen one that had two attributes for the same tag. See if that works. Let's see if it opens it in a new page. Cool. Yep. Hope that's working for everybody. Wave your hands when you need me to stop and get something to work for you. I have some programming classes where people are way too shy to ask for help, and so I go way beyond, and then finally I remember I need to wander around and I see that it was not working for them. Fortunately, y'all do stop me. You can use a hyperlink to jump to a specific section in your document. Not going to mess with that. But have you ever clicked a link and then it scrolls down to the middle of the page for you? That's because they're jumping to a specific division of the document. The image tag, along with just specifying the tag or the path to the image, you can also give it a height and a width and a border. We may as well play with the image tag again. I'm going to go, but nowadays you usually put this information inside the style rather than as attributes of the tag. Go and just find another image out on the internet. Google cat. Find one, open it up, click view image, and there you have a path to a cat right there. And then copy that. So get the path to an image. And we're going to come and we're going to insert it into our document. So it'll be the first tag in my body. Image, img, source equals, quote, and then that path. And if I want to make it a self-closing tag to be properly the best syntax possible, I'd put a backslash there. The reason why is there is no, don't type this because there's not. The reason why is that there's never anything that goes between the image tag and the close of the image tag. It's all just one thing. So it's a self-closing tag. So that's why I put that there. That's making for one long URL that scrolls off the edge. That's kind of unfortunate. It doesn't on yours probably, but anyways, y'all can get that going. So now when I run it, hopefully I see my cat there. Whoa, he's huge. Not digging that. I'm going to make him smaller. So I'm going to add a style tag to it. Style equals, quote, quote, and inside the quotes, height, colon, 50%, or 20%. Now you probably chose an image that wasn't so huge, but you can still take. All right, there I have my cat, small. That's a percentage, or I could have used, a specific value. I could have said I want him to be, 100 pixels tall, 100 points tall. So style equals, quote, height, colon, 100 points. There we go. He's a little bit taller than he was. Notice that it scaled it appropriately. It's not like it only made it 100 tall, but it was left, 1,000 wide or whatever. But you can adjust both of them if you want. You could say height 100 points, width colon 400 points. And when I do that, it's going to look dumb. I think I'll undo that. For validation of your HTML, there are HTML validators where you go and you give the site, your HTML, and it tells you whether it's good HTML or not. You should provide an alt tag, and the alt tag describes the image. Then there's HR, which stands for horizontal line. You can center text. Whenever you see the term deprecated, it means it's an old way of doing it, and you're supposed to do it with CSS, with style instead. Same with font. You could use font, \font. And, you know, it seems easier, right, than having to go and define a style, but it's the old way of doing it. The reason you do that is so that you could create your HTML and then you could give it to somebody else to decorate with nice styles or whatever. And then later on, if you want to change the appearance of the page, you may only have to go up and edit the style section rather than scroll up and down through pages of HTML finding the specific thing you want to modify. Just a couple more we want to do. Maybe OL and UL, which stands for ordered list and unordered list. Oh, maybe we could throw in table as well, but we'll see. I want a list of items in my web page. So, I don't know. Maybe way down here at the bottom before my /div tag, or maybe even after it. OL stands for ordered list. List item. Okay, let's put some text here first. Under the div, we're going to say my favorite foods. So I just added that above my OL tag. And then here are my favorite foods. I like pizza. I like ham. And I like apples. Now we need to close our OL tag. And if you put it in the same place I did, it'll be the last thing before the closing body tag. And here we go, my favorite foods: pizza, ham, and apples. That's pretty boring compared to the rest of our stuff. It's not nice and large like the rest of this stuff is. So let's go and add a style for each list item. I'm going to go back up to the style section. LI, and whatever you want to make it look like. Color, :green. Font size, :20 points. Like that. Whatever, you can pick your own colors, you can pick your own sizes. And there it is. I made it green and it's pretty large, not quite as large because that's 24 points and that's 20 points. This is an ordered list because when I displayed it, it had numbers. What if I just want bullet points? What if I don't care about numbers? You make it an unordered list. So change that OL to a UL. And now we see just, you know, dots in front of them rather than numbers. Alrighty. I think we'd better stop here. After this, we're just going to have to add just a few more identifiers, attributes to our tags, because we already understand how styles work. And we will actually start writing web pages that involve scripting, more so than just calling say hello. But we have to have a pretty good idea, you know, of what we're doing to begin with. And so I hope now that if you've never been exposed to this before, you know a little bit more about how web pages are put together. And like I said, they've gotten so complicated now that you could open them up and they look impenetrable. But simple web pages you could still certainly understand what they're doing by looking at it like that.